That would be more interesting, I think. Yeah, so every now and then I pick up an orphan part of wine, a DLL or some other component, and try to move it forward. So even though I'm not listed as a maintainer for crypto DLLs, people assign MRs to me, probably because I'm the last one to touch those parts. And yeah, so over the years, I ran into a couple of things that made me think we can do better. And this is what I wanted to talk about. So first, a graph, right? This is supposed to represent the current state. At the low end, so the basis for most of our crypto support is an external library called GNU-TLS. It's actually aimed at supporting TLS applications, and so it's a good match for Secure32 and Windows, because that's, among other things, is a TLS implementation. But we also use it to implement a couple of new and old crypto APIs, low-level crypto APIs. This is the old, the legacy stuff. That's where we already use something else. There's parts of it, so this one is actually split. And there's a couple of smaller ones that I left out. And so, why are we using GNU-TLS to implement low-level crypto functions? Well, from the GNU-TLS manual, we learned that it was not designed as such, not meant to be used as such. They're actually suggesting to use metal, which is what GNU-TLS itself uses for low-level crypto primitives. And there's a number of limitations that I found while working on GNU-TLS. So it's not bad. It has been providing nearly all of the features that we need. And we have been able to get fixes upstream. So from that perspective, it has worked well. But there are missing pieces. One of those is padding support. Actually, one type, which is none. It's not optional in GNU-TLS, and it is in Decrypt. So we will need a change upstream. It shouldn't be too hard, I imagine, but still. Which one is this? Yeah, so another missing piece, actually more important. One type of cryptography is, I'm not going to explain all the details of elliptic curves, but just know that there is a type of elliptic curve that is not supported in GNU-TLS. The rain pool is a particular example that we encountered. I think Nikolai bumped into that. And I don't think it's likely that it will be accepted. Support for this would be accepted by GNU-TLS. It's old. It's like 2010. So that would be more challenging to support through GNU-TLS. Related to that, for the curves it does support It doesn't support setting parameters, which is a niche feature, but still, Windows supports it. I haven't encountered any app that uses this yet. So, another thing is that GNU-TLS and Nettle are more aggressive in deprecating old features, like MD5 support, for good reasons, but Windows still supports it. So we may encounter applications that still need this, that depend on this. Another one is that's actually not really low-level crypto support. It's support for PFX files, which is a way that Microsoft invented to transport certificates, including private keys. So they are password protected, and GNU-TLS does support them, but only ASCII for password. So it's not sufficient, and it would be. I think it would be hard to add this to GNU-TLS actually. Another one is that I think Alexandra looked into building GNU-TLS SPE. So for many libraries that we depend on that used to be Unix libraries, we have imported them and now build them as PE. And I think, I'm not quite sure, but I think the reason is that we don't want to have a dependency stack for these PEs.
There's a license problem.
License problem.
I think Nettle is GPL, or there was something like that. One of the licenses was not compatible for static PE.
Since we switched to Unix calls, which is part of the new WoW architecture, we've added a little overhead, which is probably nothing important for asymmetric cryptography. But ciphers are supposed to be fast. So it's a minor issue, but still, if we could do without that overhead, it would be better. And then, so even if we're able to make changes upstream, it can take a long time for those changes to trickle down. An example case is shared secret support, which was added, I think, almost 2 years ago in GNU-TLS and Proton. We're still not using this. We still depend on hacks there, because it's only now available in Trixie, which will be the next Proton release. So what could we do about that? I have one more. Yeah, well, that's more of the same actually. Some old and insecure TLS ciphers are not removed by GNU-TLS themselves, but distributions remove them. Not just disable them, they remove them completely. So GNU-TLS is built without support for these ciphers or suites. Also problematic for us. So, and here's my controversial part that Jeremy wants to see.
So you have to argue against.
Yes.
As you saw before, we're already using TomCrypt in Wine, and we have been for a long time. And it's a low-level cryptography library, so it's in a better match in that sense for bcrypt, for example. But of course, that has its own drawbacks. Let's talk about the upsides first. We can implement this feature very easily. We have support, still have support for MD5, you know, AP padding. Supports many named curves, including rainbow set. It doesn't support PFX files, but it does have an ASN parser, and PFX files are ASN encoded. So it would be rather straightforward to use this and then do the rest on top ourselves. Also nice of TomCrypt to have that exported as well. It's a very nice code. It's modular, it's extensible, it's standard C. So even if we need something extra, often, I think in most cases, we'll just be able to use their extension mechanisms and wouldn't need any changes to their code upstream. It's nice to have. TomCrypt doesn't do this. We have a static PE though already. But so Nano has hand-optimized assembly implementations of the hashes, for example, for many different CPUs. TomCrypt doesn't. But we switched to TomCrypt a while ago for the hashes only, and we haven't had I haven't seen any complaints yet. So.
Did you look into the fast, is it TomCrypt fast, where they replace the math functions
yes.
with faster versions?
Yeah, so that's what I'm getting at. So in the previous slide, we saw that you can basically replace any part of TomCrypt. The one option out of this is to just replace the hash implementation with one that's faster. And the same goes for ciphers. Well, I mentioned this before. This is controversial too, I guess. It's convenient that someone else is responsible for security updates. So. And by importing code from other projects, we become responsible for keeping it up to date. But the nice thing about having the source code in our tree, I think, is that we can balance feature upgrades and security updates, right? We can both move faster and be more conservative than what distros can offer. I don't know how Alexander feels about this, because he does all the work and the list keeps growing, right? So you must spend some
it's great. I like having things bundled in the tree.
Right.
It saves a lot of trouble.
Yeah. And you could see that this as a disadvantage. TomCrypt does not support TLS. So we're not getting rid of GNU TLS altogether. We still need to implement TLS. I have some ideas about this as well, which we could maybe talk about later. But so we end up, if you do this, we end up with a picture like this.
Hans?
Sorry.
There's a question.
Yep.
Yes, the question is about the security updates. So if we keep it in tree, doesn't that also like if we had it installed like via distro, and the distro would take care of like security updates would that also like contradict both like the static PE thing and like speeding up the performance by not needing to do Unix calls? Isn't that kind of like contradictory basically? Those two like things.
You cannot have both. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Right. That's true.
So basically, if we went under something on the PE side, we would have to take care of security updates no matter what library we use. That's the point?
Yes, but the point is also like listing the security updates as a disadvantage. Like that the fact that we have to do security updates ourselves as a disadvantage is kind of contradictory with wanting to have it on the PE and not wanting to use it.
Well, I guess the disadvantage is also in the part that the distributions will distribute the security updates for you, whereas you know, when we do it, users may have to wait longer to get the updates.
Yeah, and we need someone to backport the updates in a stable version. Right?
Yes.
No. Who's using stable? That's the question.
But it are security
Distributions,
issues.
I mean, when you have some I mean, if the security library is inside our tree, it's not just us who have to care about security updates, but also the distribution that distribute wine. They also have to.
Yeah, they're not happy.
Do the same thing. So,
Do you have a
That
sense
we're
for,
vendoring these libraries.
do you have a sense for the frequency of updates to TomCrypt? How often do security patches to it drop?
Yeah, that's a good point. So
Very few.
very few. But that could also be because, and now we get to another maybe controversial issue. So maintenance of TomCrypt, it's just one guy, a SUSE employee, but he's doing this in his spare time, as I understand. And the last stable release has been a while. It's 2018 or something like that. On the other hand, the library is relatively small, and it's not wine, right? There are not that many developments in crypto land, but as many as in wine land. And the fair comparison is actually not GnuTLS. You'd have to compare TomCrypt with Nettle, which is also a one-man show. And I don't think he's working for any company either. So. Apparently one single person can handle a crypto library.
The whole world depends on.
Yes, exactly.
No pressure.
Yeah.
Good God.
So, and that's all I have.
TomCrypt is expensive and fast are replaceable. Could we supplement TomCrypt with like Unix calls to GnuTLS where stuff is too slow or missing?
Sorry, I didn't quite understand.
If TomCrypt is extensible and parts are replaceable, could we replace or supplement TomCrypt in parts that are slow or missing with GnuTLS calls, Unix calls to GnuTLS?
Yes, and technically that's possible, but so yeah, I don't think we want that. That complicates things. No, we'd only switch away from GnuTLS if the alternative covers all. And actually, I've done it. So the only way to know whether this is feasible is actually just to try and do it. So so I rewrote bcrypt on top of TomCrypt, and it passes all our tests now. So.
Ship it.
Yeah.
So where does Wine take the root certificates from? Does it read the ones, like as with bluecrypt reads distro SSL certificates.
Yeah.
If we switch to TomCrypt, do we have to maintain our own certificate stack?
We already do.
We already do.
Yeah. And you can just point both no TLS and, well, TomCrypt doesn't do TLS, right? But that doesn't really need do anything with certificates directly.
Is TomCrypt like audited by like a security person, or is it just like one guy doing it and then no one checks it?
I don't know.
Well, it's being used in many projects.
Yes.
So
So it must be good.
it's not just us.
We all die together.
Yes.
Yeah, so as a suggestion, if we really want to fully get rid of GNU TLS, there are TLS implementations also on top of TomCrypt that we could build as BE. And we no longer have this Unix dependency. Again, that adds another import.
Yeah, why not?
Doesn't sound very controversial, Hans. Try harder next time.
For engineering. We need to find other stuff to throw out, to replace.
Next year. All right, if that's it. Great, thanks very much.